Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest Jusnik cut file layout called Smile using cut file background 20. Hi there, so this is the Jusnik cut file background 20 and I really wanted to use this to make a layout. So I thought I'd describe this bit to you first so it makes a little bit of sense. So when I saw this cut file online, I actually saw it as a number of layers. So you've got an outer layer there and then each one coming in until the center one has just got those little scalloped edge. I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to show you how I turn that, use this cut file to turn it into a flower shape. I have a silhouette and that's what I use to cut my cut files. So this is just a shot from the screen of how I cut this cut file. I think it's 6 times in the end, and I'll show you those in a minute. But I couldn't necessarily, didn't want to cut it 6 times identically, so I was making it smaller and smaller to cut the various layers. And so I was using the cut tool. So for example, when it came to this layer, I literally used the cut tool to cut off the bits in the ring before, which obviously left some little bits that aren't really what I wanted. And then I just trimmed those with a small pair of scissors. And I did this for each layer as I built this down. So we were talking about layers. So basically I wanted to use some paper from Simple Stories. It's the Full Bloom range. So I went through all my cardstock. I don't know whether you've still got coloured cardstock. I don't have very much of it anymore, but I've actually just got one box. So I went through it and I picked out all the colours that I thought would go with the Simple Stories Full Bloom. So here are the cut files that I cut. So going back to the beginning, that's the cut file that we talked about, number 20. So that is the cut file number 20, okay? So then, as I said, I cut off the first ring and I'm going to be using rainbow colours, which is going to be quite obvious to you. So that is the second layer. Then I went yellow. Then I went green. So I'm doing the old Richard of York. Go Battle in Vain. So that's my green layer. Then a blue layer. And then I've got a lilac-y mauve one. I think that goes there. Maybe there. So these little bits are slightly different shapes and I will make, so I really like that. So can you, if that makes sense, so that is all the layers in all the colours. Okay. Bit bulky in the centre, I'm going to admit that. So I'm thinking of actually cutting them down in the centre a little bit before I actually stick them together, but that will probably be in the next part of the video. So I'm going to try and reduce the bulk of this cut file. So I'm going to start with the smallest and I'm going to cut out the centre of the next one and I'm going to glue them together. Now I just don't want them to be stuck completely, so I'm only going to use just a little bit of glue in a circle just to stick that down. So I'm not going to actually stick down the scallops themselves because I want them to feel like there's a little bit of movement and that the layers are actually separate. So I'm not going to need to show you how to do all of this because it's the same process for each layer. But I'm just making sure that they're actually facing the right direction because the cut file's not completely symmetrical, so I want to make sure that one layer goes exactly over the other. So this is the final layer. The rest are all stuck together. You can see the offcuts there on the left, and I'm just trimming this down so that it doesn't show through if I don't quite match it up properly. But I'm really pleased with the way that it kind of looks like my original vision. So that doesn't always happen, but in this case it has. And even though I spent a little bit of time doing this, it is the main focus of this layout. So actually, in that sense, I've not spent any more time on this than I would have done on any other layout. And I've actually been quite focused. And actually, in the end, I don't use any pattern paper either, which is of interest. So I'm going to just stick this down when I make sure it's in the right direction. And then it will. I'll show you the back, so you can see all the gaps there. So much thinner now than it was before. So now we need to make a layout. So I've got 2 photographs taken of me in a RHS garden, Harrogate Way. I think it was last summer or the summer before. And I'm going to use those 2 to go with these rainbow colours. So I'm just going to mat the white cardstock on top of the teal, and that obviously, as I showed you, is the teal that I cut for that layer. So I stitched those two together because it's obviously it got a hole in it, but you can't see that from the front. So I'm just going to stick with a bit of double-sided tape this, I see it as a flower really, in the centre. And I want one of the large scallops to be at the top. So that's what I'm just, and I want it to be pretty central, so that's what I'm just lining up at the moment, and I've stuck that down. So this is the full bloom that I'm thinking of adding with it. So the colours that I matched up at the beginning with the cardstock, and I'm going to use some of the embellishments from that range just to finish this off. So I really like the way those photos look, but obviously the title needs to be bold to compete. So that word smile I think is perfect, because with the white outline it just lifts it from the layout. So I'm just going to bring in a few of the embellishments. I thought a rainbow would be perfect to go with the rainbow in the photograph, but I don't want to hide that cloud behind the photograph. So I'm actually going to trim it off, and I'm going to trim the sun off as well, so that I actually can layer that die cut in 3 pieces in the top left behind the photograph there. So that is the plan anyway. So I know this looks like a lot of work, maybe with a cut file, maybe you don't. It depends whether you use your machine a lot or you use cut files a lot. It's certainly a way of making this cut file look different. If you have a look on the Just Knit Instagram feed, there's lots of people have used this cut file before, and somebody's used it small and they've used 5 or 6 of it. Somebody else has used it, I think, all in white with a wedding layout. It's got loads of potential, and I think sometimes just seeing it used differently can really inspire you to scrap. So I hope that you've liked the way it's been created today in rainbow colours. So I'm just trimming down that cloud. I'm going to use it to go over the top of the rainbow. It seems to shame to waste it behind the photograph. And I'm just going to tuck that sun in as well, I think. Just tidying up as I go. In fact, the desk looks really tidy in this video, which is not always the case with me. So under the title, I'm just going to add one of the full bloom flower clusters. So this is why I was picky with the cardstock at the beginning, because I feel that really tones in really nicely. And it's definitely made it much easier by knowing what range I wanted to use from the start to make it all match together. So I'm just going to keep tweaking these embellishments. I know it's not taking much to finish this layout, but I think there's definitely plenty to draw your eye. I'm just looking for something to put in the centre of those flowers. I don't think I used the stick-on brads in the end. I think I might bring in some enamel dots, but it's been a little... Oh, there they are. I thought that's what I was going to use. I'm just going to add a couple of centres to those flowers to finish this off. So I hope you like what you see. Do check out the Just Knit Cut Files store. Have a look at our Instagram feed, as I say. Loads of inspiration for using cut files there. Thank you for watching this video of mine. Please subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and there'll be more videos coming soon. So thanks very much for watching. I'm going to end with an image of the cut file 20 in just a moment. And then there's going to be some close-ups of the layout and the full image for you to see. Thank you so much for watching. You can also find this image on my IG account, which is Sheena Ribena Scraps, and that will be listed in the words below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.